The Floor Academy podcast is sponsored by Trelama, the trade labor marketplace, where businesses can find skilled trade labor, such as flooring installers, and where flooring installers and other skilled tradespeople can find permanent or project work. You can set up your profile at trelama.com, TRALAMA.com, or download the app from the Apple App Store or Google Play. And remember, Trelama is always free for skilled tradespeople. Welcome to the Floor Academy podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Hadeen, owner of Illustrious Hardwoods in Phoenix, Arizona. Our mission is to get you from playing contractor to running a successful and profitable business that supports your dreams. We are here to talk with flooring professionals from all over the country about the issues that matter to you. I want to encourage you to learn while you earn. Don't forget to check out our website and merch at flooracademypod.com or to become a patron over at patreon.com/flooracademy. Even $5 a month goes a long way to help this content to continue to be published. There's also links in the show notes. This week's guest is Zack Bonfilio. Zack owns and operates his own remodeling business in San Antonio, Texas. Getting his start in Boston in his early 20s and living in his truck, he built a company up to himself and 5 employees. On a whim, he fired them all, finished up his current projects, and moved to San Antonio to start over. Zack and I talk about how he has built up a successful business, not just once, but twice. What does it take to accomplish it? How does he market himself? And what's the secret sauce to his success? Stay tuned to find out. Zack Bonfilio, are you on the line?
I am. How we doing?
Good. Welcome to the Floor Academy podcast.
All right, I heard of this. I keep seeing it pop up on my page.
Well, you know, I like to spam everybody every week on Wednesdays to try and gain an audience.
Well, I think you might get a few more people if you got the King Misfit, but they're not going to be the people you want.
You know what? You say that, but they may be the people that I want. So everyone needs help in this industry. Everybody.
Fair enough.
So, to some, we could say that your reputation precedes itself, but I don't deal strictly in the tiling world. So this goes out to, I don't care what you're laying down. It's out there for you. Carpet, LVP, hardwood. So some may not know who you are. So go ahead, give me the overview of who Zack is and how you got to kind of where you are today or why you're doing tile and stuff like that.
How I got you to call me. Yeah. Actually, it's funny that you say LVP and hardwood and all that stuff because that's actually what I do. I'm known as a tiler because I have this group called the Misfit Tilers that I started. And there's, it just was started off as a joke and grew pretty big because, I'm a bit of a shit talker and I have an audience. I have the Howard Stern, approach to the tile community. But as far as what I actually do is I do home remodeling. I don't do tile. I just sort of gear towards tile because it's what I love to do. I just laid 850 feet of LVP in the past few days. I've done hardwood, I've done carpet, I've done tile. I do drywall, cabinets, whatever. If it's inside of a house, that's what I do. But my tile work is probably the favorite thing that I like to do. So I try to gear my customers towards kitchen and bathroom remodeling.
Okay. So we won't call you a handyman because that would be shameful. You're building you're building a general contracting business and you excel at all these things.
Yeah, well, the funny thing is I started off in Boston where you need to go to school and get a license and do all the fun stuff of, general contracting. I have 3 big old books, the IBC, the IRC, and I've read all of them, took the test and passed. And I really put the work in to be a contractor and got my license and started doing that up there. Then I moved to Texas, and Texas, to be a contractor, you need $22 and you need to go to the courthouse and say, I want to be a contractor. So
it's the Wild West, baby.
It's the Wild West out here. So right now I'm just doing a DBA contractor, and but I used to I used to be somebody on paper
Okay.
up in the great northeast.
Yeah, it's amazing how all the states are different and view it differently. I've seen it broken down in some places where like you can work in one county without anything, and the next county over is going to require you to get a license from them for a specific trade, but not other trade. I'm like,
Oh
can
yeah,
we
yeah,
universalize this? Okay, either get your
yeah,
the government needs to get their hands in it, or you got to keep your hands out of it. But
yeah.
there's
Well,
too much from place to place.
I've seen it from both angles, right? And in Massachusetts, it's overregulated, right? Where it's almost like California, where it's like you need a license to take a piss on the job site. And down here in Texas, it's I mean, as long as you're not opening up a breaker box or messing with the gas line, you do whatever the hell you want. So the upside to being, I guess, overregulated is stuff gets done right almost all the time.
Mm-hmm.
The downside is it takes forever. The upside here, if you know what you're doing, is jobs go generally very quick. The downside is you have so much competition of the Joe Schmo who did the same thing I did. He brought his $22 to the courthouse. He got his builder's license, and now he's just throwing shit together that's just awful.
Yeah.
So I've actually been getting a lot of business off of, can you come fix what the last guy did, which I kind of like and I don't like. I don't like the fact that my customers have to pay twice, and I don't like the fact that I have to sometimes accommodate some, like let's say they already have all the materials there and it's dirt rock or some, I'm like, I'm not using that. I'd have to, work something out where I help them out, and then it's a headache. But
correct.
But it's always fun when you show them what a real contractor is, or a real tile guy, or a real flooring guy is after they just had a nightmare with somebody who's terrible.
Yes.
Because it makes you look like you're just awesome.
Well, you're Superman. You're the hero. You came in, you saved everything, and so now you get all the referrals, and you have to use this guy. He knows what it's a cruddy situation to be in, but when you can come in and perform it successfully, the dividends are what's worth it.
That's what I think. I mean, I actually I'm one of those rare people that actually likes what I do. Like, I like dealing with customers. I like, doing the full shebang. I like walking in. I like talking to them. I like telling them my ideas. I put a lot of my design work into my jobs. A lot of people take my suggestions, and that's really fun because, I mean, I came down to Texas to work in commercial, and I hated it instantly because they took all that away from me. It was just like, go lay this, go do this, go do that. And I was like, oh, this sucks. So that's why I got back into the remodeling game, because I just like it.
Okay. Well, there's a good segue. Okay. So you built a business in Boston. So whatever happened there, you said, screw this, I'm going to Texas. So that's what I want to know. Is I was at one point considering a move. I ultimately decided that it wouldn't be worth my time to restart a business. I didn't want to put in all the legwork that I'd already put in to start growing a brand here in Phoenix by moving to some part of Northwest Arkansas and go through with that all over again, of working and hustling for 3 years to even start like I have momentum behind the ball. So let's talk about what you were doing in Boston, how you kind of built that up, what things were working for you, what didn't. And ultimately, we'll work our way through it all, and we'll get to move into Texas and how you have built this thing back up. So let's start at the beginning,
Let's start at the beginning. Well, I was born in 1985 on a farm. No, I'm just kidding. In around 2010, 2011, I was living in Florida doing water damage restoration, which means I knew how to build based off of, my general experience in construction, because I've been doing this off and on since I was 15. And so I got hooked up with a guy down there. I came back to Boston to just go on vacation, see my family, because I was living in Florida, grew up in Boston. And this builder was hanging out with me, and he was like, hey, while you're in town, do you want to make a couple extra bucks? I got a job. So I was like, hey, I'm here for a week and a half. I can go do 500 feet of flooring in like 2 days. So I'll just go do it. So I went over to this guy's job. I banged out the whole job in a day and a half. And he just goes, dude, I've never seen somebody come in, bang out the work like that you just did, kept the job clean, super professional. The customer loved you. Would you consider moving back to Boston? I was like, you know what? Yeah, let's do it. But, it's going to have to be worth my time. So he goes, he puts on a good show, and he's like, company truck, company computer, company phone, a salary of like, we'll start you at 60 and then we'll keep going from there, and blah, 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 this, that, and the other.
Mm-hmm.
This is back in 2010. So, for me, that was 11 years ago, as like a 20-something-year-old kid. It was awesome.
Sounds like a good package.
So, yeah. And he said he was going to move all my stuff up for me from Florida. He was going to pay for the move, all of it. So I took the deal, got up there. I leaped head first in without really, doing a dig on the guy, and come to find out that, it wasn't what he promised. It was basically just, he's just some dude who, he's got his own issues where he's, I don't know, I think he was on drugs or whatever, but long story short, it was like 3.5 weeks back in Boston. And I'm like, this guy hasn't paid me. I got his truck, but his truck was stolen from a customer that I did a job for. He he kept it in her name, and I was driving around with it. So I just called the guy and I was like, hey man, I know you took this truck off of the customer and you didn't tell her. You said you were going to junk it. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the truck as money because I know you're not going to pay me. And we're going to part ways. So he reluctantly agreed because he didn't want to go to jail for Grand Theft Auto. So now I got a truck. It's in my name. It's out of the customer's name, which is good for her too. And I got no job, no home. I'm completely homeless. And I just said, all right, well, I'm just going to go on Facebook and ask a bunch of people if they want to tile their bathroom or do whatever. Mm-hmm. And I started annoying my friend. My friends would hit me up and they'd be like, you are annoying. Stop posting. Like nobody's going to hire you. You're just, you sound desperate. And I just explained to them, this is what networking is. This is what social media is for. It's for networking. This is what I'm doing. If you don't like it, you don't have to read that post. Just keep scrolling. And we'll get to, that's kind of the personality I've always had, and people who know me know that I don't give a shit if anybody likes what I post. So to summarize, I basically just kept hustling, got 2 jobs. I was working in an ice cream factory at 5 a.m, got off at 1. I did whatever remodeling jobs I could do from 1 to 7. So I could only work like 6 hours a day. Okay. And I was bouncing at a Bar Louie in Gillette Stadium at night from 9 to 1 a.m. So I was working from 5 a.m. to 1 a.m.
Oh, my goodness. Just
busting my ass to make enough money to afford my own place. Got my own place, kept hustling. Then I got my first quote unquote big job. And by big job for a 26-year-old kid, it was like $12,000. So I was like, yeah, let's do it. So
I'm rich
took
forever.
That job. Yeah, took that job, and I was way above my skis. I think that job lasted about 2 months, and I paid out my subs probably twice as much as I made. I probably walked away with like $1,000 for 2 months worth of work. And, but it got me a referral because my work ethic stayed the same, even though I wasn't making the money. I just kept doing everything right. And then that job got me another job. That job got me another job, and so on and so forth. And 2 years later, I had my own truck, the old beater that I took off of that guy. It shit the bed like a month after I started getting on my feet. So timing worked out perfect. And within 5 years, I was making 6 figures. And it was just, it was something that my bottom was being homeless, sleeping in a truck in the winter. Like nobody. I had to have that happen to get this work ethic, because I don't think I had it before. I mean, I had work ethic, but I don't think I had this hustle until that day where I was like, I got nowhere to go. So then,
well, that's an interesting point, in that you were able to pay bills and get through life up until that point, right? Like you were doing things, but you ultimately you had to put yourself in like this rock bottom desperate situation to truly learn what it was going to take to get ahead in life.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, like I say, the greatest thing that ever happened to me was every failure that I've ever had. That's the only reason I'm good at what I do is because I failed so many times.
Are they
So
failures
it's
if
like,
you learn from them though?
yeah, well, I think I have. I mean,
But
I haven't learned from every one of them.
okay, well, see, that I'll call a failure then. I don't think it's a failure if you learn from it. I think because you have to people I say you have to fail forward, but I don't even think that's the right saying, right? If you're
Yeah.
learning from it, you made a mistake and now you can go do something better in the future. But it's only a failure if you quit and you lose.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I guess you could just say like, one step back and two steps forward instead of the two steps forward and one step back. Because that's what it usually feels like for me. It's like I feel like I'm more of a counterpuncher. When something bad happens to me, I don't cower and I don't go backwards. I try to go even harder. So it was a good learning experience. Just doing those jobs. I was the yes man. So anytime anybody called me, they said, "Can you do crown molding?" I was like, "Yes, I can." And I didn't know how to do crown molding. So I just went on YouTube, and it was easy to figure out. Once you have the general basic knowledge of how to use a tape measure, how to use a miter saw, how to use this, how to use that, you can almost figure out any trade. So that's how I eventually ended up becoming a remodeler / general contractor, because I dipped my toe in so many different things just by being a yes man, because I was, once again, like I was desperate because I didn't want to ever end up back in that truck. And, then things were going well for like 6-7 years. I had 5 employees. I was crushing it. And, you were asking like, what happened? Why did you want to leave that?
Well,
and basically it was just, go ahead.
Before we get there, like what grew the business? What kept it going? What were the lessons that you were learning behind that, right? Like you started with just being quote unquote annoying on Facebook, right? And posting, "Hey, come on, I need work. And so I'm assuming you kept using social media, but did you incorporate, did you get any out here, in Phoenix, I can go to like one of these ritzy tract home neighborhoods, and some of them have their own like monthly publication. You can advertise in that.
Yeah.
I get annoying calls from, I just got one today, in fact, from a golf course, and they want me to advertise on the scorecards. Like, were you incorporating anything else in there, or was it word of mouth and Facebook that built this thing with 5 employees?
It's funny. I'm really glad you asked. So, because I have kind of a funny story about that. So I hate advertising and I hate those things that you just mentioned where you just get like annoyed with somebody. So I always told myself I would never do that. The way I actually started was, yes, obviously Facebook was probably the biggest thing that got me going, because it was like annoying at first, and then people started seeing what I posted when I did get a job, and they were like, "Wow, he's actually good. We never knew you were this good. Oh my God." So they tell a friend and they tell a friend. But the biggest thing I think that actually got me started was if you start an Angie's List, you have to have 2 referrals in order to be seen on Angie's List. Like you won't pop up in an Angie's List search unless you have 2 people that have referred you. So what I did was I made 2 fake profiles and used 2 different credit cards, and I put myself on there with 2 positive reviews, and I pretended to be 2 different people. Okay. And when I did that, I ended up getting a bunch of Angie's List referrals, which wasn't necessarily paid advertising. It was still free, but it cost me $26 a referral, or whatever it costs to create an account. And that's the only advertising I think I've ever really paid for, except for probably social media like Instagram and stuff, which we'll get to.
Okay.
But yeah, Facebook, man, I'm telling you, that's once again, I said it earlier, when people would get annoyed or whatever, I'm like, this is kind of what they built it for, is it not? Like, I mean, it's social media, so it's social networking. Mm-hmm. And you're annoyed that I'm using it for what it was designed for. Like, I'm not posting cat videos. I'm not, sharing my fucking lunch. I'm actually trying to get work. Yeah. Which is insane to some people, that they can watch this, this hustle and be disdained by it somehow.
Well, not only that, but you would think, there's 2 ways I'll do a project for a friend or family member. and
Mhm.
it's free or full price.
Free or full
I'm
price.
not
I
going to
do the
give you
same thing.
yeah, I'm not going to give you a discount, because if I give you a
Hmm.
discount, you're going to tell me I didn't try my hardest and I
Yep.
shortchanged you. If I do it for
Yep.
free, you can't complain about anything because I damn well did it for free. And if I charge
Yep.
you full price, you can't say I didn't give you my all because, well, I booked the time out of my
And
schedule to
treated you just
actually
like, yeah.
do it. So
I'm
that's
so
the
glad you said that. I
that
actually talk about that.
yeah, that's the best way I found to do it. And then I've built what I have here in Phoenix from Facebook community groups. And
Yeah.
I'm not happy about having all my eggs in one basket at this point. And so I'm
Hmm.
slowly looking to like branch out into other things. And 3 years in, I definitely like the referrals get better and better every year as you have more, you touch more people. But
Hmm.
there's something to be said for having a tool that you can grow with
Yeah.
and make something happen from.
So to add on to what you said though, because I did leave one thing out that was a huge factor in why I was getting successful. So, and I tell people this on like my business with Bonfilio posts. Um, I say this all the time. I say go to your local tile shop, not Floor and Decor,
Mm-hmm.
not
Mm-hmm.
Florida Tile, not those places. Go to the guy that's in the strip mall. Go to those tile places and just hang out. Like in all of my free time, I was at this place called Tile Factory in Westwood, just shooting the shit with the owner, Jeff, just talking. Never asked him for a job. I asked him if I could leave my business cards up, and because he has like a wall of business cards.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, "Oh yeah, of course you can," you know. And then I would go to him for tile samples and be like, "Hey man, can I take a couple of these?" And he'd be like, "Oh yeah, yeah, yeah." So I just went there with this. It was a little bit, almost like I knew what I was doing, but at the same time, I wasn't, doing anything nefarious. I was like, "Hey man, if you hang out here, he might throw you a job." And then he started throwing me quite a few jobs. So like the mixture, the thing is like you can't have just one thing. You got to be able to do a bunch of different things. I had 2,000 business cards made up. I went to the grocery store, I left them. I went to the barber shops, I left them. I went all over the place. I had 24/7 hustle. I woke up in the morning, I started hustling, and I didn't stop until I went to bed. So there was, going to the tile stores, leaving business cards, being on Facebook, annoyingly on Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
telling everybody, I'm gonna do your house. I don't care. Just give me a chance. And if you put all those things together, people just see that you're serious. They see that you take it seriously. So I think that sort of is what a lot of these people are missing. They think that it's just gonna fall into their lap if they buy an ad, and it just
Yeah.
won't.
No, it's not. There's more. There's way more to it than just buying an ad. I mean, it's one thing when you're Empire Carpet and you can
Yeah,
spam the television with constant commercials multiple times an hour, and you've been around for years and years and years, and your phone number is ingrained in people's brain and will never go away. But
yeah, you got a jingle.
when you're the little guy, you got to get out there. I love that you're going and hanging out with the tile shop guy. I know
Mhm.
guys have gone and they'll hit up construction sites, right? Like, oh shoot, they're breaking ground. Let me go find the GC because they're nowhere near flooring yet, but they're going to need
Yeah,
it at some point. They're going to have showers. I talked with a guy out of Florida that found the guys that deliver the porta potties.
yeah,
And
nice.
so he said, okay, if you find me more construction sites, right? Like you tell me where you're dropping these things off and when like the architects and the people are around, and I'll give you a finder's fee. Turns
Yeah,
out that the owner of the business called up the floor guy and was like, "Hey man, like what the hell are you doing?" So they stopped work like doing what they were actually supposed to be doing, and they were just driving around finding job sites because he was paying them better than what they were making.
that's funny. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had people that tried that with me, and I mean, I'm not saying that it's not. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do it. I'm just saying that I had people like, "Hey, man, I'll get you a job. Give me a 20% finder's fee." I'm like, "Why the hell would I ever give you 20% of something I'm gonna do just for telling me where it is?"
Correct.
So, like, like I mean, like I'll just keep trying to get it myself. But hey, if it works, it works. I mean, I
Correct.
don't. If he asked me for 3%, I might have considered it. But
Exactly. It's got to be reasonable. It's got to be
Yeah.
reasonable, which is like,
Yeah. I mean, I'm doing a $15,000 job. I'm not going to give you 20%. Are you out of your mind?
exactly. There's no profit in it at that point. The amount I'd
Yeah.
have to sell it for is taken out. But there's
Yeah.
money to play with if you want to, be realistic.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, yeah, I basically think that was it, man. Like I said, I know it doesn't sound, I know it sounds cocky and not humble, and I know people hate when people say that, but the reason I did well is because I'm a hustler. I just got out there and did it. I didn't need anyone's help. I didn't try to get anyone's help. I just had to wake up and do it because the driving motivation for me has always been the backseat of that truck. I never ever want to go back there.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I even slightly get close, I start having a panic attack and I think about it and I don't want to be there again. So there's really no way to stop me just because of that. I mean, you're gonna get back whatever you put into something. So if you're asking me how did I do what I did, it was I just put everything I had into it. No girlfriends, no relationships, no going up to the bar with your buddies. It was constant.
Mm-hmm. Well, and at some point you had to learn how to manage money, how to manage clients. Like, what was that journey like building this the first time around? Where were you
I'll
getting
let you know.
advice
I
and
still haven't
stuff?
figured out how to manage money.
Okay,
My
fair
girlfriend,
enough.
my girlfriend says you spend money as fast as you make it, and I go, I don't want to die with a bunch of money in my pocket. No, I know what you're saying though. So a lot of it was trial and error. I mean, that's probably 90% of it is trial and error. You bid a job and you underbid it. You end up not making what you should have made. I made some mistakes when I was younger in the business. I owed the IRS money because I made too much money and I didn't even know how taxes worked.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And that to this day I'm still dealing with that and the ripple effect of it. But everything is all about how what you can set aside to a lot. I just learned recently, the difference because I'm such a literal person that profit. Like I'm like profit. What are you talking about profit? And I was like, oh, profit versus income. And I was like, oh, okay. So like I'm still like I said, I've never bragged about my business savvy, whatever that word I'm looking for is, but I've just been able to make the money part, and I pay my taxes, and I just put the right amount away, and I send it in quarterly, and I'm a simpleton with business.
Okay.
All I know how to do is show up, sell a job, make the money, and that's it. It's like I don't have any. I'm not Luke Miller, so
No, I get it. I
Luke
get it.
Luke Miller has it all figured out, and I'm like, you're great, but you're a nerd, and I'm a contractor. Like,
Well, look. I mean,
I mean that as a
what
compliment.
No, I get it. I get it, and that's what I think. That's what Luke and I are trying to do, right? Like I've recently started. So here's my thing: is I want guys like you to stop
Mhm.
playing contractor and be a businessman. You don't have to stop contracting. I want you to stop
Yeah.
playing contractor and be a businessman.
Oh,
So
like you got a hard fight with me. I mean, people have been trying to get me to do it forever. I've just been stuck in this game. But I mean, people have had this conversation with me so many times where it is starting to set in,
mhm.
where I do need to, grow up and be a real boy. But I also just once again, I know this sounds cheesy. I love what I do, so it's almost like the reason I'm not doing that is because I kind of don't want to. I like what I do. I like it. My hands dirty, but it's taken such a toll on my body and my mind and my personal life. I mean, my girlfriend is a saint for allowing me to see her only like once or twice a week because I work so much. And I get it, but it's just something I've never really been interested in. I've
Well,
never been the guy who wants to make side money, if that makes sense.
yeah.
Like to me that's side money. Like, oh, I could sell this, or I could sub the job out and make more, or I could just buy property and get other. I'm like, I just want to do what I do.
Yeah, no.
Which is
What if I told you could be a businessman by still doing what you do? You just understand your numbers better. That's all I want.
yeah, no,
I want you to be able to sit down and spend an hour or two a week at the desk and I bet you can improve your profitability by 20%. That's all I'm asking. And
Oh,
it's
I
something
already
you should
do
be doing
that.
anyway. So it's
Yeah,
easy.
I already do that. I mean, I do already do that. I mean, I spend more time, bidding jobs and and estimating and running numbers than people would think. I don't just
Yeah.
fly by the seat of my pants. I've sat down for hours and put myself a tick sheet together on what I need to charge per item, and I'm at the point now where I've memorized it so much that I can give people quotes on the spot. I'm not one of
Yep.
those guys that walks in with his t-shirt and goes, "Oh no, I could probably do it for a couple thousand." Like, no, I got this down to a science on how much money I can make. What I was trying to say is I'm not the I don't have a plan to get out of this and do something else. Is all I meant.
And you don't necessarily have to. If you can make this pay
Yeah.
well and you can save a little bit of money, you're good to go. There's not
Yeah.
And there's so many, I mean, it's been talked about on the show before. There's so many options. Like, okay, so you can't tile anymore. Well, the manufacturers are huge on hiring former installers as reps now. There's
Oh, I
tons
know.
of options. You can go be a salesperson at a store in the future. Like,
Yeah.
you can go manage somebody else's installs. You got options. Like, don't
Yeah.
there's
Those are
nothing to
all
worry about.
options those are all options that I'll never do. And not trying to sound cocky, not trying to be that guy. It's just I've already had the offer. I don't want to stop what I'm doing. I'll probably be that stubborn old guy who's hunched over and shaking, laying tile when I'm 80, just because I refuse to give it up. It's my end game. I do have a plan to get out of this, but it's going to be doing the same thing I'm doing now on a flip scale. I just want to start buying property, living in a house that's just studs. I'll just knock it out with a bunch of guys in the first day, and I'll be living with a toilet and bare floors and bare walls.
Whatever works.
Build it, flip it, sell it. That would be my heaven.
And it's totally possible. You just got to get that initial income to get the first one, and you roll it out from there as long as you make good decisions on what you're picking up. So if
I stop buying guns, then I'd probably have enough money for a house right now.
Oh, and you know way more than you're letting on. That's the thing. Is you say like, I don't want to be a businessman, and you're doing it. It's just you don't want to talk about it. You may not know the terminology that people actually are using, and so it's I don't know. I go and do it, but
well, it's almost like I pride myself on my ignorance, because it's once again it's like I think you're right, and I'm not trying to toot my own horns, but you're spot on. I know what I'm doing, and I don't want anyone to think I don't. There's nobody can go from homeless to making six figures twice in two different states without knowing what they're doing, knowing what business is. Me, I'm really good at selling. I did personal training for years, and they used to send us to all these sales seminars, and I was like, these people are trying to teach me what I already do. Like, don't say the word no. Yeah, I never do. It's almost like these little tricks that other people need to learn are natural for a natural talker and a natural salesman, which I think I am. So that helps with me getting jobs. My cousin said something to me that was life-changing and very the best business advice I ever had. And I'm sure you've heard it before, but he says, you should be losing 80% of the jobs that you bid.
Yep.
He's like, how many are you getting? I go, like, all of them. he's like, you're a natural salesman. He's like, so why don't you just raise your prices and start losing 80% of them, because your prices will be so ridiculous that you can sell those jobs. And I'm like, shit, all right.
Correct.
So that's when I started jacking up my prices. I mean, and for Texas, I'm probably one of the more expensive installers. I'm right up there with the bigger companies that already have warehouses and bobcats and slabs hanging from A-frames and then they sub their jobs out to somebody for $3 a square foot. Well, I'm at $15 a square foot for the same tile, but I don't have the overhead they do.
Yeah.
So the customer's paying the same price for the same job, except they have a certified tile installer who takes pride in what he does, versus we hired a very well reputable installer.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I think, I got my license here in Phoenix because Arizona requires licensing. I did one job for the local Home Depot outfit, looked at the invoice, saw what the client paid, saw what they were paying me and said, huh, I get a third of that, huh?
Yeah.
That ain't gonna happen. And so
Yep.
I slowly worked my rates up to being, whatever they were, and I realized, okay, I'm double or better what they are paying out. So all I have to do is, if I'm doing one project, it's equivalent to doing two projects for them, which means I only have to work 2 weeks out of the month instead of a full month for them.
Exactly. And you're probably providing a better job.
Well,
You're probably doing more quality.
that too. But then if you work a whole month, I'm going to be at the end of the year, if I can work 10 months out of the entire year, and that guy works 10 months out of the entire year, I've made twice as much money, which is
Exactly.
phenomenal. It's just, you got to know what you're doing and getting yourself into. And
Yeah.
you need to lose projects at the end of the day, and you should be charging a little bit more, but you need to know why you should be charging more to justify it.
Oh, I say this so I used to say you should be losing. Like I said, I've done this before. I've told people this before. You should be losing 80% of the jobs that you bid, but you shouldn't be bidding the jobs that some people that are losing 80% of, because some of you aren't like, and I'm talking to my audience. I go, some of you guys aren't where I am, and I don't mean that as an insult. I mean that as a fact. Some of you guys aren't where I am. So you should not be charging a customer 16 grand for a bathroom that I'm charging them 16 grand for tile only, if you're not going to deliver the quality that I'm going to deliver.
Yeah.
You should not do that, because you're robbing your customer. You should start small and get to where I am, because all you're doing is bringing the industry down. You're that guy. You're the guy you're going to be over your head. Then they're going to call me in and they're going to end up paying twice. I mean,
yeah.
Like I said, I'm a yes man. So I started by losing money. That's how I started my business. I started by losing a lot of money and learning how to do the job.
Yeah. No, there's definitely, I didn't get to where I am, but I raised my prices slowly as skill level came, and I realized I learned how to sell better. Like there's little steps you have to take. So
Yeah. When people pay you more, it also motivates you to actually do the quality work. If you're a decent person, if you actually care about what you do, and somebody's willing to give you all this money, you realize that you don't have to rush. You don't have to go with that cheap VersaBond thin set. You don't have to, use the Home Depot crap. You can go to these, places and pay $60 a bag for your thin set because your customer gave you the money.
Yes.
You're allowed to now do all the stuff that you wanted to do. Everything that you're seeing Zack Bonfilio do on Misfits, you can start doing because they gave you the money. But just don't do the same crap that you're getting paid cheap money for if somebody finally does say yes, because I'm going to tell you, they will say yes. People will sell. You can sell any job once. You can sell a job to somebody who's gullible once easily.
Yep.
But if you keep doing it, your reputation will find you.
It'll catch up. That's for sure. All right. So I love where this is going, but I kind of want to stay on track. So we're going to backtrack a little bit. No, it's fine. I'm a talker, man. No, and that's fine. And that's where this show goes, but I'm going to bring it back a little bit. Okay. So we're in Boston. We got 5 employees, and for some reason you shut it all down, and you've already alluded to the fact that you end up homeless again. So let's see this play out. Like I gotta
be careful I don't insult anybody who's listening, because the way the story goes in my mind might not be the same as somebody else's. Anyway, so I fired all my employees in one day. I sent out a group text. I was just so tired of babysitting. My job turned into the thing that I told you that I don't want to do, which is manage and not be the guy who's making sure the job's right. So I just sent everybody a group text like, guys, I'm going on my own. I went on my own. I actually ended up starting to make more money, and I had more free time, and everything was going great. And then I just had these a series of unfortunate events with my personal life that just sent me into a spiral where I was just not happy personally. It had nothing to do with the business. I was crushing it business-wise. I was working by myself, still making the same amount of money with no employees, and everything was going grand. And then Aaron Albrecht from J&R Tile in Texas. Me and her met at coverings. We talked on the social media sites like Facebook and whatever for years. And she offered me the job to come down to Texas like 3 times. And I just said no every time because I told you I wasn't that guy. I didn't want to go work for somebody.
Yeah.
But I was in that dark place where I just had to get the hell out of Boston. And I grabbed the first person that I thought I could call who would say, yeah. And I hit her up with a message and said, hey, do you still want me to come work for you? And she said, yep. So I said, be there in a month. I shut everything down. I made sure my projects were going to end when I had to leave. Surprisingly, my lease was actually running out on my apartment. So all the stars aligned, and I came down here. And she had this $42 million mansion brewery in Fredericksburg, and it was just gorgeous. And but it's commercial work, so I show up, and it's a completely different animal. I'm like a complete greenhorn. Like I knew how to tile, but I didn't know how to deal with a GC and a sub, and everybody telling me to hurry up, and meetings every day. And
wear your hard hat,
Yeah, and oh my God, PPE. If I ever hear PPE again, I'm gonna PP all over anybody who says it. So it just wasn't for me. So the day I set the last tile at the brewery, I just made the decision I was just gonna quit. I've done this my whole life, where I've just done what I wanted to do. Like even if I think it's scary, I just do it.
Yeah.
So I only had I wasn't making the same money I was in Boston, and I'm basically living in a shitty apartment in San Antonio. And I walked into her office and I go, Aaron, I love you, but I can't do this. And then she was like, oh my God, that's okay. Don't worry. And we just parted ways amicably. Mm-hmm. But now I got no job. I'm in a completely different state. I have no options really. For reasons that I'm not going to get into, I had to leave my apartment. It was a bad neighborhood. I got robbed. I got into an argument with the landlord, and I had to leave. So now I'm back homeless again. I got 2 nickels to rub together. I had my savings, which was a safety net, but I was blowing through it faster than I can, count. And I basically had the option to go back to Boston or stay down here. And Erin, the saint that she is, she just hit me up and she goes, we can start throwing you residential because we get them, but we don't do them. I was like, cool. So she gave me a couple jobs, and I essentially did the exact same thing already.
I lost you for a second. You did the exact same thing?
I did the exact same thing I did in Boston because I've already done it once, and I've already explained it earlier in the podcast where I said, all you got to do is get up every single day and just go hustle your ass off and let everybody know who you are. So I went to Travis Tile in my downtime. I just hung out with the 2 dudes at the desk. I basically just made it known that I was looking for work to anybody that had a set of ears. And sure enough, I started getting 1 job that turned into 2 jobs, 2 jobs that turned into 3 jobs. And it just started exploding. And, one of the big things that helped me that I told you earlier, I was going to mention this, is I actually never advertised in Boston, but I did start advertising down here because Instagram advertising is probably the cheapest and best way that you can probably promote your business if you're good at what you do. So I have a good social media presence. So I was already hitting the ground running because of who I am down here. I don't think I would have been as successful down here if I was the same person in Boston, because my name is well known in the groups. I basically, when I ask somebody if they had a job, everyone's ready to give me one. So that turned into a really good resource, a really good tool. And which, circling back to what I was saying earlier, is social media, it works if you use it. Mm-hmm. So making myself the annoying guy who turned into a tile celebrity, whatever you want to call it, where where I'm like the Howard Stern of tile. There are still people that, because they're looking at what I'm doing, they're also looking at my work and going, I don't even care if he's kind of, he uses the F word a lot. I don't care. His work is actually pretty good. So I basically just networked, hustled, did Instagram advertising, threw everything I could, hoping that something would stick on the wall. And within 6 months, I was right back to where I was in Boston, making the same money. And everybody told me I couldn't do it down here. They were like, you won't make the same money down here. I go, I'm not changing my prices. I'm not changing my square foot price. I'm not changing my job price. I'm not changing anything. And I stuck to it. So
there's a market for everything. I wish people would understand that. I hate
the problem is people don't understand that there's rich people in every single state. And all you got to do is find them.
That's it. It does. That won't fly by me. Okay, so drive 2 hours to get to work. Then I get you live in like rural Kentucky or rural like Louisiana or rural Georgia.
Yeah.
I get it. Drive further.
Yeah, but you know what? There's a guy that has a mansion in rural Kentucky.
There is.
I told people all the time. I go, business success has absolutely nothing to do with geography, right? If you give me that argument, I'm going to shut you down every time. It has nothing to do with where you live. It has to do with your mindset. That's it. If you stick me in Alaska, I'm going to find the job that pays me. Like, it doesn't matter. I mean, I guess there are certain places where you can't make money. Like, I mean, I don't know, wherever they have Area 51. But other than that, most places, 99% of the places, I'll find the guy that has the money to pay for what I want to do in his house,
Sure.
So.
I 100% agree, because I get told, I just had a guy, I run a group for Arizona, and I just had a guy the other day tell me, you must land 1 out of 10 of your bids because the prices you're charging isn't what clients are paying. And I said, no, I land more like 30 to 40% of everything I actually send out. And I turn way more people down over the phone than what I even send bids to. I'm not interested in winning everything. I'm interested in winning the people that actually want me and are willing to pay for it. Like, I don't care. I'm okay with no. No means I'm getting closer to someone saying yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you get exactly, what's the old Family Guy, Sean Connery skit? Is 50 no's and a yes is still a yes?
There you go.
So, I mean, that's it's kind of anticlimactic, the whole Texas thing, because once again, it's like everything I did in Boston, all the hustling and all the suffering I did in Boston, it was just preparing me for a formula of how to be successful literally anywhere. Like, you could stick me in any state, and just because I am who I am, I'd be able to call or text or email or Facebook message somebody that's close to me who will hook me up with at least one job. Once I get that job, once I have money in the bank, once I have a couple bucks, I'm going after the people that live in the mansions. I'll just start promoting myself at the tile shops or in that neighborhood. It doesn't matter where you are, doesn't matter where you live. Go to the place. Everybody knows the place I'm talking about. Go to the place where the houses are lined up and they look like you don't understand what they do for a living. You think they're famous or they're a basketball player. That neighborhood. Find the tile shop that's closest to that neighborhood. Drop your business card.
Yes. No, I'm 100% with you. It's, you know what? I've found that my ideal client is those people, right? Like, I look for my ideal client is in a house that's like $400,000 to $850,000. If I can get into more expensive homes, I'm okay with that. But what I find is that when I hit that target price range, it's generally a younger family. They have kids that are a little bit younger than mine, about the same age. One of them probably started at the bottom of some company and worked their way to like a high position. I did a job for like a guy that started in high school working at Macy's. Yeah. As the guy that came in and like he's folding clothes, right? And having to like take people around the men's section and doing all that. He's a vice president of the Southwest District or whatever, and he's got, like 30 stores under him now. Yeah. But when you go in, you start talking about, hey, I really want to do your project. I love what's going on here. This is what I'm trying to build. And you start a rapport with them, and they see that, like, oh, you have the same kind of drive I do. Yeah. It's an easy sell. They're going to go with you over another company.
Well, I mean, can I get one thing that I did forget to mention that I know we're going to wrap up soon. I just didn't want to leave it out, but I'm like Rain Man. I just keep talking. Yeah. So one thing I did also that is a huge factor in why I started getting so many referrals is I started inputting my own design into jobs. Mm-hmm. Like, if you go look at my Instagram, if you go look at my Facebook, you're going to see all these crazy jobs. People ask me all the time, I wish I could get the jobs that you get? I go, you do. You've already met the people that I've met. You just didn't tell them you wanted to do something. So every time somebody asks me, here's I want this tile, I want that tile. I go, okay, that's great. I'm going to do the job for this price no matter what. I go, but if you want, I would like to do some cool designs in here, and I won't make the job any more expensive by doing them. But it's just what I would like to do. And then they go, well, what do you have in mind? And then I'll just draw something up. So like I have, the circular drains where it looks like something's swirling down the drain, or scribes in the niche, or a niche.
Yeah.
Throw a fucking niche. I'm sorry. Throw a niche in for free. I mean, it's not going to kill you to throw a $500 niche in on a $20,000 job because that one niche, that thing that's going to take you an extra day, if you do perfect miters with a crazy design in it, right? That's the thing that other people are going to see when they come over and take a piss at that person's house. They're going to come out and go, who did your bathroom?
Yep.
If they go in and they see the same bathroom that they see everywhere else, then they're not going to say anything. But if you throw this crazy design, and build your skill up and make sure you can do it, don't try to do this if you're not skilled. But if you have the skills to do something like scribing or design skills or mitering or just cool things that you can throw together and ideas you can get off of, I hate to say this, even if you get them off of Pinterest, I don't care. But if you want to throw something crazy like that into a job for free, that is going to throw you so many referrals if you execute it.
Yes.
It's just a thing that happens. People have told me, I saw the thing you did and that's why I called you. That's happened to me multiple dozens of times.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It's I think tile work's going to give you a lot more freedom with that. Wood, like if you're doing hardwood, sand and finish stuff, you're going to get a little bit more freedom. I've already said, I do a lot of LVP, and so my area to shine is that I make their stairs look great. In Arizona, and I'm sure the same as in Texas, coming from Boston, like skirting on the side of the wall is standard. And you move down to these Southwest areas, man, they're throwing up homes. It's drywall only. So first I started doing like skirting. No, first I started just doing landings at a 45, right? And I would just like, okay, instead of laying it straight, we're going to throw it in at 45. It's an extra $50. It's all good. Then I got into, well, I can custom fabricate skirting. Like I had a client that was like, I know you can do it, just do it. And from there it was, okay, how long did this take me? This is what I'm charging for it. So that's what gets charged now. And now I've started playing around with, I had a job where the lady wanted me to do her stairs and upstairs. I got all the carpet out of the upstairs, looked at her subfloor and said, this is going to cost you thousands and thousands of dollars. And I know you don't have that right now because you're a teacher and you teach in Arizona. So, let's get my carpet company in here. We will finish your stairs. You keep the flooring and we'll do the downstairs when you save up some more money. And she was like, okay. But as a consolation prize, essentially, I was like, okay, let me start trimming off all the locking mechanisms on the LVP. And I did a border on the landing. And then I put a inlay at a 45.
Yeah, I was just gonna say you could do a border. You could do a border with an inlay.
Yep. and so that's what it became. Did it look great? No, there was definitely room for improvement, but she was super thrilled with it. And then I went and asked another client down the road and said, "Hey, can I do this for you?" And they were like, "Yeah." And his turned out way, way better. And so now I have something I can charge for. Like it's But it separates you, right? It makes you stand out from everybody else in the market.
Yeah, I saw this guy Chad. I don't know if you know who Chad is. He does a lot of flooring. He literally took the skin off of an LVP plank and glued it onto a nose molding because there wasn't a match. And when I saw that, my eyes just jumped out of my head. I'm like, if you do something like that, like it doesn't always have to be tile, but if you just do something like where they just go, wow. Like that's all it really has to happen. All they have to do is say, wow. It doesn't have to be the whole, I did a custom scribe into a tile, but like when I saw that, I said, wow. So if the customer saw that and said, wow, they're going to tell 5 friends. You know, like every time somebody goes up the stairs, they're going to be like, you know what the guy did? He took a heat gun and he peeled the stuff off the top of it and he made me these. Like, that's what I'm just trying to say. I'm just trying to say, if you really want people to call you, do something worth calling about.
We work in an artistic trade. It doesn't. Yeah. I don't care what you're doing. Look, I found a way to make click lock LVP that only goes one direction artistic now, because I'm willing to put in a little extra time. That's what our hand skills are, an art form. Go play with it when you do find something to do.
And when you do that, you're always constantly improving. I mean, there are so many guys that I've talked to that are like, I wouldn't do that. I don't get paid for that. I'm like, oh, you do. You do if you try. Like, I mean, you don't get paid for that. I do. But that's the thing. It's like, there are a lot of people that, you know, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. You know, we go through this with the mud guys who hate foam systems. You know, like, it's like, hey man, I don't really technically care what you do, but I do as a hobby. I have this page. It has nothing to do with making money or advertising. I don't sell anything. I don't have, you know, sponsors. Like, I just do it for a hobby. And what I said when I started the page was, I'm going to try to help people make money. And that's how I help people. I tell them what I do and how I did what I did. Mm-hmm. That's it. So if these people don't want to listen, I usually just go, all right, well, you don't want to listen. See you later.
Well, and that's what's needed is, for the longest time, the old guys, quote unquote old guys, you know, they want to keep their quote unquote secrets.
Yeah.
Look, man, how you're installing the tile isn't a secret. Okay. I can go find it somewhere. So you might as well just tell me, because somebody else will. There's nothing to hide in this.
I had a guy get mad at me for showing people how to wrap a cord, like the trick to wrap a cord faster, like 100-foot cord.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, now everybody's going to know. I'm like, who cares if everybody knows? What are you talking about, man?
I was taught that day one of being a production assistant in reality television. Here's how you wrap a cord, because if you ruin my like $1,000 cable, I'll kill you. Like your $30 extension cord, it's great that it's going to last you a lifetime, but no one cares that you're teaching someone to wrap it properly.
It's like people like that, they're actually just hoping I don't show somebody, so the person that I didn't show just fails miserably and quits the business so that they can get all the work. Like, I don't know where their logic comes from. But
well, what are you going to do? How are you going to take all the work? You can't handle it by yourself.
Yeah, I know.
You need that guy.
Yeah. Then they're going to be the guy who just gets overworked, and the people call me to fix it because, you know, I'm the guy who knows how to wrap a cord. Anyway, I don't know.
But it's true, right? Like, you have to build this thing and share your wisdom and pass it on. If you don't, it's going to get lost. And if it gets lost, someone's going to have to spend the time to rediscover it. And it's not.
Yeah. I mean, what's the point of even learning something if you're not going to share it? I mean, isn't that the whole point? Is like, I want to tell somebody every time I figure something out. I want to tell everybody. I want to be like, hey, I guess look what I just did. I just figured this out. You know, like, and there are people that are like, they act like they just discovered fire. Like, I'm not the first person to figure this out, man. Like, I'm gonna tell everybody because it's already been done. I'm sure it's been done. You know, like, I did this curbless entry shower where the pebble floor flowed down into this basin shower where, like, it looked like it was just naturally occurring, like the earth did it. And people were like, oh my God, that's so cool. And I was like, they're like, who showed you that? I'm like, nobody showed me that. I just figured it out. But I mean, I'm sure there's somebody that's done it before. You know, there's gotta be. And if there isn't, and I'm the first one and I'm the one who showed you, I'm so happy that I'm the first one who showed you, and now you can go do it. Yeah. There's no like prize. There's no prize for keeping it.
I don't think so. What do you get? You know, everyone's, they're my competition. They're my competition. They're going to get me. They're going to come out and underbid me. If you would stop withholding the secrets and you would teach the people working for you, not only the trade, but you taught them business as well, you could be making partners instead of competition.
Well, I told my 16-year-old helper, who's my girlfriend's kid today, I told him, like, he's like, Well, I like what we do because I'm learning something. And I go, Bobby, listen. The thing is, I'm going to teach you how to do this, even if you don't become the best tile installer, the best remodeler, the best contractor in the world. You get to take this home with you. If you ever buy a house and you need to fix something in your own house, now you have it. I go, that makes me feel good knowing that I'm imparting that wisdom onto somebody. And yeah, you're right. Like if you teach people what you do, everyone thinks they're going to leave and go start their own business and become your competition, but they're not. Because if you're a good boss, and I think I am, and you teach these people, aren't they going to be the guy who goes, that guy taught, I owe everything I have to that guy.
If you treat him fairly, so sure. Yes.
Wouldn't they want to help you? Like I think it's just like networking. It's just like making more friends. So yeah, no, I'll share my secrets. The cord guy can keep them, and we'll both see who's successful.
Well, and that's the thing. Look, not everyone's a worker bee, but you're going to find some worker bees as you train people. Like I was never going to stay where I learned, but I said that day one when I was hired. I said, look, I need my 2 years experience so I can go to the state and say I have my 2 years experience and get my license. Like I told the people hiring me that straight up, and they just looked at me like, yeah, okay, whatever. Go over there and cut a board. Like, ha, 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 it's never going to happen. Oh, okay. I know what I want. But, some people won't stay. But if you teach them how to be a competent, like, tradesman or woman, and you teach them how to, like, run numbers and look at things and actually understand what they're doing, they're going to go in the market and compete at an equal or better level than you. And it's somebody that you can call up, you know their skills. So if you get a project that's too big, you can say, hey, can you come help me? You're building a partner. It's not competition. Like you don't have to be afraid of other businesses in your area. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. You're building a resource, if anything, like you're building something that you have as opposed to an enemy. And like, because when I hear competition, I hear enemy, right? Like, why would you want to build more enemies? Like, no. So, I mean, I would rather build an ally that I can, call. Like, I mean, I've burned plenty of bridges in my life from personal reasons, but as far as business goes, I don't think I've burned one. Like, because I don't have competition. I have never had competition. I know that there's enough work out there for 12 of me living right next door. So if there was 12 more me's living in the same building I'm living in, we could all get work because there's that many people out there that need their houses done.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as competition.
The only place I see, quote unquote competition existing is when you live in the rural area and there's let's say there's 2 tile guys in a city of 60. Like, oh yeah. Okay. Maybe you have competition.
Yeah,
maybe
how often
you guys
does that happen?
Well, exactly. But maybe you get along really well. Like stop looking at him as competition. Go get the really big, like rich guy down the road and call him in for help. Like both bang it out. Like, come on.
Exactly. I mean, we're all like, so Trinity, we works over at J&R. We're still so tight. And if I get jammed up, I call him and like he's allowed to work weekends. So like I call him and I'm like, dude, I'm jammed up, and he's first one to come help. So if I was to say that guy's my competition and I'm not going to give him any work, then I'd be screwed when I get jammed up. But why would I do that to myself? So, I mean, the general gist of everything, like everything that I've been trying to do and saying whatever on the Facebook groups and whatever is it really is just all about, taking pride in your work and improving the industry. So if you improve a rising tide raises all ships. So why wouldn't you want to improve the industry by sharing knowledge? And that's all I do. I mean, I share knowledge. I piss a lot of people off, but I do it while sharing knowledge. So I may start a little tiff with somebody just to, get the attention, the spotlight shine on me. But then you'll see like the next day I'll be like, hey guys, by the way, I'm going to show you how to do this. It's a strategy. People don't realize.
Well, there's always going to be the unpopular opinion too, right? Like if you're doing it to,
if you're doing the wrong thing for the right reasons.
Sometimes, hey, look, if it works, it works. Everyone's got a method. Oh. All right. I know you're supposed to meet somebody for dinner. You said you got something, right? So, all right.
How did I lose you?
Oh, Sorry.
Cutting out.
I moved my phone. It probably adjusted the cable
Ah,
that goes into the audio thing.
no worries, man.
All right.
But that's actually that's a good segue because I think we've been chatting for a little over an hour, and I got to
Correct.
eat something.
That's what I was going to say. So I believe you said you needed to eat. We're kind of at our time here. So if people want to reach Zack Bonfilio, where do they find you? How do they reach you?
So go on Instagram and you can type in ATR San Antonio. ATR San Antonio is where you're just going to see all my work. And then I also have the social media group on Facebook, The Misfit Tylers, 3 words, The Misfit Tylers. And it's very R-rated. So before you go there, you need to understand that who I just interviewed with, the person who interviewed with is Zack Bonfilio. The person on Misfit Tylers is like the Howard Stern of Tile. And TikTok, The Misfit Tyler. So those 3 places are pretty much the only social media I have. I don't do all the other fancy ones. But
okay.
Anyway, man, it was a great chatting with you.
it.
I had a good time. So by the way, let's tell them how this all started. This started because I was making a joke and I was kind of being a jerk to Kyle. I was like, hey, you're always on my page promoting your podcast. Why don't you interview me, bro? And then he called me and I was like, I really didn't want to get interviewed. I was just messing with you. So
you
I'm glad we
good
did
stuff
it.
to add, my friend. You have, look, everyone's got a message. Everyone's got somewhere that they came from and something they can add to the table. So I'm all for it, man. I'm trying to make a smorgasbord and a buffet, a feast, whatever it's going to be. But someone's going to learn something, and that's what matters to me at the end of the day.
Well, like I told you, when I started this, I told you I don't even listen to podcasts. Never heard you. I don't listen to Luke. I don't listen to anybody. But if they're all the way that we just had a conversation, I might pick it up and give you a listen.
I try and keep it real, man. This is what I do. I try and keep it real simple. The way I like to describe it is I'm doing a show where, right, you and Aaron were at trade shows, probably having a talk over a drink.
Yeah.
I hope that's how you felt about this conversation. I want everyone to be the fly on the wall to the conversation that happens between a couple of contractors over a drink.
That's it. That's all you need to do.
So,
all right, brother. Well, thanks, man. I gotta eat something.
Go ahead. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it. Have a good night.
You too, man. Have a good one. Bye.
Yep, bye. That's all the time we have for this week. To keep the conversation going, head on over to the Floor Academy Facebook group. Be sure to subscribe so you can hear each and every episode. We can be found on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, and most major podcast directories. Don't forget to leave a review and let us know what you think about the show. If you would like to be a guest, have questions or feedback, you can email us at flooracademypodcast@gmail.com. You can help support the show by becoming a patron over at www.patreon.com/flooracademy. Remember to learn while you earn.